Talk of the Town on 99.7, 1450 WHTC and WHTC.com.
We welcome you back to Talk of the Town for this Thursday, February 3rd. I'm Gary Stevens. It is the first Thursday of the month. This time we set aside to catch up on things going on at the old Hayworth seeding plant in Allegan. That, of course, is the home of the Allegan County Jail and the Allegan County Sheriff's Department. But today we are in downtown Allegan on the Zoom connection at the Allegan County Courthouse to speak to not only Allegan County Sheriff Frank Baker, but the prosecutor for Allegan County, Myrene Koch. To both of you, good morning. Welcome back to WHTC.
Good morning, Gary.
Good morning, Gary.
Very glad you are with us. And if you have a question for the sheriff or the prosecutor, they'll be happy to answer it at 616-395-1450, 616-395-1450. Frank, I'm going to start with you, and we're going to revisit a subject that we have been visiting for a little while, trying to negotiate winter driving. And while we in the Holland area north didn't get it so bad, Allegan County got clobbered. And I have a funny feeling a lot of sighs of relief are now going on in the county as the worst of the storm has moved to the east.
Yeah, when I was on my way home and I noticed that the snow was letting up and had the opportunity to snow blow my driveway, I was glad it was letting up. And I was happy for that because I know our deputies appreciate the little relief from the way yesterday was. But even with all the snow we got, we're thankful that it wasn't blowing real hard, because then we avoided some of the large drifting areas that we normally see. And also, when we get a storm like that this time of the year, it's usually not quite as bad. If this would have been in December, when everybody's a little rusty on that winter driving, it would have been a nightmare for our people. But everybody did well. For the most part, everybody was slowing down, stopping sooner, watching out for one another. And we're thankful for that. And we truly appreciate it.
Yeah, indeed. And as long as, people drive defensively, we don't have to worry about having Mr. Toll pull people out of the ditch and all that. But it was something, and I want to, then I'll go to the prosecutor. But one other thing, Frank, and it's something that I touched upon last week when we had a chance to chat with Ottawa County Sheriff Sergeant John Knott about winter safety on the water, but also winter safety with snowmobiles. We had an incident just east of Fenville last week where a snowmobiler collided with a truck that was doing some clearing of the driveways in that area in Manlius Township. Even though there might not be a lot of snowmobile trails, snowmobile safety has to be first and foremost, especially now that we have some snow on the ground that people can enjoy the sleds.
Yeah, and we have our snowmobile patrol out and about, trying to do their part to, make sure the trail system is safe as possible. And also, try to look out for the people that are abusing the privilege and the opportunity to use the trail system here in Allegan County, because we do rely on a lot of private property owners who are very gracious and allow those trails to go through their property. So we want to do our part to make sure nobody's tearing it up. And one of the things that we also stress, obviously, is snowmobile safety. A few weeks ago, we did have an individual out on Minor Lake crossing the lake on the ice, and it wasn't safe. Snowmobile went in the water, and we actually had to do a rescue to save that person's life. So, snowmobile safety is at kind of the forefront of these weekends in January, February, when we do end up with these snowstorms like we had.
Sheriff, I will add one more thing, and Sheriff and Sergeant Knott brought it up. He says if you're going to start putting vehicles on the water and they go down, the person might be safe, but they got to figure out a way to get that vehicle out of the water, and it's at their expense. And so,
yeah, the DNR frowns on depositing your motor vehicles in the waterway.
Yeah, that's, let's put it this way. There are better ways to go ice fishing. And let's put it this way. The fish can't swallow the snowmobile too well. But let's move forward, shall we, to Myrene Koch, the prosecutor. As always, we are graced by her presence, and we appreciate her joining us this morning. No, I'm not trying to flatter the prosecutor, but she does look a lot better than Bill Tallman. But anyway, let's move forward. Let's move forward. We, of course, here at WHTC will be bringing you Super Bowl 56 between the Cincinnati Bengals and the Los Angeles Rams from SoFi Stadium in Inglewood on Sunday. Coverage begins at 2 p.m. on WHTC. Super Bowl Sunday. It's busy for the sheriff. And Myrene, I have a funny feeling it's busy for your office as well.
That's right, Gary. I was reading an article this morning from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration talking about Super Bowl Sundays historically have had a very large increase in drunk driving incidents. They actually did a quote in 2019. There were 10,142 traffic deaths involving drunk driving. So they put this article out really as a reminder to celebrate responsibly. Make sure you have a sober driver or a sober way home. Find someone designated. But ultimately, you really need to pay attention. And if you're going to drink, please don't drive.
Not just drinking, but also now that we have recreational marijuana legal in the state, that too has got to be kept in mind as well.
Absolutely. Although marijuana recreational is legal for adults, you can still be found under the influence for that and a variety of other controlled substances too.
Myrene, we were talking about drunk and under the influence driving for Super Bowl Sunday. This question really spans both of your departments about the fact of establishments that serve alcohol or liquor by the glass. How much, or maybe as well, establishments that sell liquor by the bottle, maybe selling for parties at home during Super Bowl Sunday. How much enforcement is done? Don't try to let out all the secrets here, but how much enforcement is done, especially on a day like, which will be February 13th, about establishments that might, shall we say, not look at the ID and sell be to either underage or, in the case of a restaurant or a tavern, selling a drink to someone who frankly shouldn't have it because of that they're under the influence already.
Yeah, I'll probably start with that one, Gary. We do periodically throughout the year work along with some of our partners in trying to identify establishments that maybe aren't, like you say, looking quite so closely at the driver's license. We periodically have underage, what we call decoys, go in with our officers who will be in plain clothes and basically just see if the establishments are following the rules and laws as it pertains to selling alcohol. And, we try to work with them as more of an educational situation, trying to, we sometimes even promote that we are doing this so that they can hopefully get with their staff and make their staff aware that, it's not uncommon for us to come by and do that because it's in their best interest to make sure they're following the laws and the rules. But occasionally, every once in a while, the business does slip up. And then when that does happen, we do take enforcement action. But those things are something we do kind of periodically throughout the year. So there isn't just one time that they have to watch out for us. It could be any time that we're out and about. And like I say, it's several times a year. But and then we always let the establishment know when they passed, when they did check the ID. We let them know and basically congratulate them for the good job they are doing and thank them for the good job they are doing and make sure that the owners know that their staff is following the rules. So there's an incentive for the employee to know that, they're going to get recognized for doing that. And then also, unfortunately, if they're not following the rules, there is a ramification.
And that ramification goes right to your office there, Myrene, in terms of prosecuting the law.
It does. And we work very closely with law enforcement. We want to promote that education piece, as Sheriff Baker said, but ultimately sometimes there may be establishments who violate more than once. And it is important for my office then to step in and take charge of that situation. We want to make sure that everyone is able to celebrate responsibly or have the things they want to legally. However, when the rules are violated, we need to do something about it so that everyone else understands there is a reason you have to follow those rules. If you don't, there will be consequences.
616-395-1450 if you have a question for Allegan County Prosecutor Myrene Koch or for Sheriff Frank Baker. I'm going to throw a question out of left field. I'll admit it's out of left field, but this is a good time as any because we're talking about alcohol and we're talking about alcohol use. Has there been any situations in either of your tenures where you've had to deal with moonshiners and illegal manufacture of alcoholic beverages? Or is that something for, the stereotype for different jurisdictions and not in Allegan County?
I've been around for 30 something years, and, I don't necessarily recall anything that was significant enough to draw our attention. I mean, you're always going to have the home brewers, which is lawful. And now I know there's even some home distilling, which can take place that is lawful. But I'm not aware, or I don't recall off the top of my head, any incidents where we've had, people out there that were taking it beyond the home brewing, home distilling for their own personal use type of a situation. But it wouldn't surprise me if it had happened or sometime in the past, but I'm just not aware of it.
And Gary, I've been here in Allegan County about 20 years now, just over that, and I don't recall any moonshining cases. We've seen manufacture of controlled substances, but not of alcohol.
Yeah, obviously that scourge was there when I first came to town in 01 about the meth issue in Allegan County, especially, but also in Ottawa County as well. But I just thought about the fact that we have the stereotype moonshiners and all that, the little jugs and all that. But thank goodness, people. They might make their own, but we have many fine microbreweries and wineries in our area. They don't need to make their own. They have very good products. 616-395-1450, 616-395-1450. Sheriff Baker, you doled out some awards last week at the Board of Commissioners meeting to some of your deputies who have earned those awards. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, well, unfortunately with the pandemic last year, our normal process for handing out awards is to do it at the Board of Commissioners meeting. We do that typically once a year. We kind of, wait till we have a group of them to give out at one time, and we then bring our staff in. But with some of the meetings being held on Zoom and some of the challenges there, we kind of delayed some of those. So we kind of had an opportunity to catch up on some of our older awards. Plus, we had some that happened rather recently. So it was a nice time for recognizing our staff. I just want to mention that one of our deputies, Corey Harris, him and Sergeant Corey Hunt together, they were involved in an incident I spoke of a few minutes ago out on Minor Lake, where a snowmobiler had been driving across the ice and went into the open water and likely would have drowned had it not been for the people that had called 911, and the deputies were able to arrive, and they were able to commandeer an aluminum fishing boat to kind of help get themselves safely out onto the ice. And they were able to then rescue the individual that had gone into the water. So they received awards for meritorious service. We also recognized Deputy Harry Santee, who last year received for his efforts, received a meritorious service award for his quick actions. He was on a kayaking trip with a lot of individuals, and he had a special needs cousin who was in trouble, and was their kayak was sinking, and she was in need of assistance. So he was able to rescue her. And then in all the confusion and the chaos of this taking place, his father had fallen out of his kayak and was struggling in the river, and he was able to get to him and rescue him. So both of those individuals were rescued on what would have been a big family gathering, and a great day. Could have been a tragic event. So we recognize him for his service. Deputy Carter Morris, he received a life-saving award for saving a life last May. An individual had become unresponsive, had fallen down in her home, and was no longer breathing. He was able to arrive, do CPR on the individual, and then with the assistance of an AED, was able to revive her, and was recognized for his life-saving efforts. We also had an award for Deputy Jacob Gage, who received a life-saving award for an incident that happened back in last June. Deputy Gage responded to a personal injury accident in which the vehicle had caught on fire and the driver was pinned inside. He was able to gain entry through a passenger door and use his fire extinguisher to keep the flames away from the victim's face and knock the flames down enough so that himself, as well as one of the firefighters from the South Haven Area Emergency Services, were able to gain entry further into the vehicle and rescue the driver and prevent them from being burned. So he received a life-saving award for his efforts that day. We also recognized Deputy Jason Kreidoff, who was assigned to Saugatuck and was one of the deputies working in the city of Saugatuck. He received a Professional Excellence Award for his actions on August 21 of last year. He responded to a vehicle that had gone off into the water and was sinking. He was able to jump into the water himself, break a window out that was underwater, reach in and get the driver out and pull her to shore. We also recognized Deputy Kano, who also responded. He's on our dive team, and he was able to quickly suit up in his dive gear and get into the water and check the vehicle for any other individuals. They were able to rescue the driver or passenger. I can't read here which one it was. I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was one of them, the driver, the passenger, that was actually inside the vehicle. So definitely wanted to recognize them for their efforts that day. And we also recognized Sergeant Corey Hunt. He received a second award for valor. This happened last winter. He was responding to a vehicle that had gone into the Kalamazoo River. We were in pursuit of the vehicle. It was a fleeing and eluding situation. The vehicle went into an area in Allegan near the fairgrounds. If you're familiar with that, there's a large steep embankment that goes down to the Kalamazoo River. And the vehicle was unfamiliar with the area, and the driver drove down that embankment and ultimately bounced off a few trees and ended up in the Kalamazoo River. Sergeant Hunt dove into the river, swam up to the vehicle, and as it was being swiftly taken downstream and sinking, he was able to get the driver out and rescue him, even though obviously the water was very frigid during that time. And so as a result of that, we recognized him and gave him an award for valor. So I just wanted to highlight some of these things. And of course, our deputies are out there every day doing things that I'm probably not even aware of that are probably very worthy of an award. And I just want to thank them all for their professionalism, their dedication, their willingness to risk their own safety to make Allegan County a safer place for us to all live, work, and do business.
Sheriff, you were talking about the last incident involving Sergeant Hunt. Reminds me of that incident, I think it was middle of last month, over on 131, the far northeast corner of the county, when the vehicle decided to do a Dukes of Hazzard over the roadway and got smashed up. But don't do that. There's stunt people that do this on television. Don't try to do this. Don't try to do this at home, folks. And don't. No, I'm sorry. Your vehicle cannot stand up to those rigors.
It was I guess it's one of those things that these things happen all the time, but rarely do we ever see it on video. And it just so happened that business had a security camera there that caught that. But yeah, that video went viral for sure. And I couldn't tell you how many people contacted me from around the state that I know, and some from out of state saying they saw this video. And the MSP was the ones that actually investigated the crash. But I know some of our accident reconstructionists, because of the uniqueness of this, got involved, and they all put their brains together to make a determination as to how fast that car was going when it actually left I was going to say the roadway, but when it's actually left the embankment and flew over 142nd Avenue, it never touched either guardrail. And, unfortunately, the driver was injured, and we wish him well, and hopefully he has a good recovery. But it was definitely something that, I haven't seen in the past, because it's, like I say, it's rare that you're going to catch something like that on video.
One last question, and this is more of a court question than anything else, Myrene. In Ottawa County, they've put a halt on jury trials until the summer because of COVID-19 health concerns. What about the situation in the Allegan County courts? Is there also a halt on that, or not really?
In Allegan County and District Court, all of the misdemeanor trials are postponed until at least April 1st, and then they will reassess then. With regard to our circuit court trials and felonies, our circuit court judges are looking at that every week to look at the numbers and make a determination whether we go forward that next week or we don't. So it's going to be difficult when both courts open back up fully to try to catch back up from this pandemic.
One other thing, and a court question more than anything else, Myrene, is the fact that the Allegan County Board of Commissioners talking about repurposing, and there was groundbreaking at the old Shopko building to move the mental health services there. What's that's going to mean for the downtown courthouse? Because it might mean more room for you down for everybody down in the courthouse.
Well, the mental health department, Allegan County Community Mental Health, had their own building in a separate location. But with them moving into the old Shopko building, that opens up that additional building. So there may be some movement to make the courthouse more of a courthouse itself and move some of the other very essential functions to the county to a different location.
Okay, I was just kind of wondering whether or not that affected courthouse operations, maybe a little bit down the road. Allegan County Sheriff Frank Baker, Allegan County Prosecutor Myrene Koch, thank you very much for joining us today on Talk of the Town. Wish both of you well, and I know I'll be talking with both of you again later on in the year. And of course, Sheriff, we'll talk to you next month.
That was good, Gary. Thank you.
Thank you, Gary.
Thank you very much, Myrene Koch and Frank Baker from Allegan County.